This rusty piece of crap is a Mazda Cosmo 110S. We call it the catastrophic Cosmo for obvious reasons. Now, there was only 1,100 of these ever made, which makes it a very rare car. Now, in this episode, hopefully we're going to turn this absolute catastropheness into something like this, which we did in the previous episode. Now, look how nice and majestic and original this looks. So yeah, wish me luck, because that is an absolute catastrophe. Right, down and dirty into the thick of it. Now you can see that there's zero structure left in this car. Now, the reason I did half of the sill and I was going to do up to here is because I wanted to maintain structure, but there's no structure to maintain because it's an absolute catastrophe. I think I've said that 1 or 2 times in this episode already. So what I need to do is try and make some sense of this. I mean, this panel here is part of this panel, which is barely hanging on. So I need to try and fabricate something that is original in here. I think I'm going to start on the floor first, make the floor to where it needs to be, and then this panel laps onto the floor, and then etc, etc. You've also got a panel which is joggled, which goes underneath here. This is this rusty bit which goes underneath this non-rusty panel, so I need to make that as well. And then yeah, that's the remnants of the previous episode. So I think what we're going to do first is try and make some sense of this, try and cut the floor out and try and dry. We'll try. Yeah. What we're trying to do here is get back to good metal, so we've got something to weld to. Once I've cut that bad metal out, I can get it measured up and transfer that onto some sheet steel. What we don't want to do is cut too much structure out so we lose all of our reference points, because I can use the old panels, even though they're really rusty, I can still use them as reference points to put my new panels to. So I've used the guillotine to cut this piece of sheet steel. I can then mark it out. As you can see here, there's actually beads which are strengtheners in that floor pan. Here I'm using a small piece of sheet steel to do a test piece, so I know exactly what depth I need. Now, this bead roller is a really good tool. Basically, you've got 2 dies and it forces the steel through them 2 dies, which leaves an imprint on the steel. Now the panel goes into the bender to get a slight bend on it. It's about 45 degrees. Throughout the whole entire process, I'm checking the piece of sheet steel that I'm making to the original to make sure that it's the right shape. On goes some weld-through primer, and then we can get it welded on. Now I can get some holes drilled in the panel, and this means I can plug weld it to that floor section that I've just welded in. On goes some weld through primer, and on the floor section as well. Then I can pop that panel in and get it welded. Now I'm using Dinosaur 1000, which is some cavity wax. I'm going to use that throughout the entire restoration. Now that I've got that floor section tacked in, I can make sure that it's in the right place. And in this instance, it was actually too far into the car. So what I've had to do is I've had to cut down the floor pan and pull it out slightly, just to make sure it's in the right place. So we've got this floor section in. This turned out really well. I did actually make a small mistake, which I had to slip through this just to pull this corner out, because this corner was too far in. So I had to pull this corner out here to make it match with everything else, but we've sorted that, so that's good. Now I need to make this. So I've cut this out, which is sort of like a bit of a rail, and that's at the very end of the footwell where it meets the bulkhead. Now I need to make this, so then, you know, because I've got good access inside this hole, I'm going to make this. And then I'm going to work on the floor pan down here and the chassis rail, because the chassis rail, just like the other side, is corroded where this meets it. Now moving on to the bulkhead section, I can offer a piece of sheet steel onto the bulkhead. I can then scribe a mark on the inside and then get it cut out exactly to size. I do need to plug weld this to the floor section, so I'm going to drill some holes. I can get it primed and then get it offered up and welded. And here you can see the floor actually starting to make a little bit of sense. Now I can move back onto that chassis rail section, get the inside of the panel primed, get it offered up, and then I can get it finally welded in. And there you go, it's starting to look like a car again. Well, we've made some major progress in this episode, including getting all of that floor done, that chassis rail, and we've started work on this bulkhead as well. So that's a major part of the fabrication done, and it's kind of closed up a lot of that area there as well, which is good. So that's going to be it for this episode. Do catch us in the next episode where we're going to continue on this. We're going to make this rail down here, and hopefully we're going to get all this closed up so it looks like a car again instead of something that's got a giant hole in it. Do smash that like and subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and with that being said, we'll catch you in the next one.